Here is a video on multiplying by 10, 100, and 1,000. And there is a trick to this. So what we're going to do is 3 different examples, and I'll show you what happens in each of them. So we're going to start with the example of a whole number. 72 times 10. Now, like we know back from grade 4, our trick is that however many zeros are at the end is what we have to add to our original number. So in this case, we have 72, so we put our original number and add one zero at the end, and we have our answer, 720. Now this works the same way, however, with the trick that we've been practicing in class, and this is what I'm going to show you in just a second. So I'll leave that example here and show you how that works. Our next example is 3 6/10 times 100. Okay, so in this case, the idea is the same. We're still looking at how many zeros we have, and then we have to figure out where are we moving the decimal to. So remember, it is multiplication, so the number is getting bigger. So if the number gets bigger, that means we have to move the decimal to the right. So I'm going to make a little note to myself up here that the decimal is going to go that way. And of course we have to ask ourselves, well, how many spaces is it going to move? I can't just move it as many places as I want. I'm going to move it the number of zeros the question has. So in this case, it has 2 zeros, and that's how much you're going to move it. So remember, we want to rewrite the number that we're going to work with, because if we start doing our work in the question, we're going to run into the multiplication sign, or we're going to get all messy over here. So I want to be able to do my work in a nice clear space. So in this case, I'm moving my decimal. Change color. I'm going to move my decimal 2 places to the right, so the number gets bigger. 1, 2. So I know my decimal is going to end up right there. I'm going to rewrite the number down here. So I have 3, 6, and that space we know belongs to a 0 now, and the decimal goes there. Okay, but now you have to ask yourself, do I really need the decimal right there? The answer is no, because it is actually a whole number. Now, because it's a whole number, we can write it like this, the way we usually see whole numbers. Or if you really want to keep the decimal in there, you could write it like that, and that works the same way. Now, if you go up here to our original problem, we have 72 times 10, and if you want to apply the same trick as we did down here with the decimal, remember our imaginary decimal is technically right there. So I had 72 with the decimal there, but remember we don't have to show it if it's a whole number. And we're multiplying by 10, so technically the decimal is moving 1 place. Now it's here. And then we're adding the 0, and there it was. So this way we could do it fast, but the same way with the decimal, it's just working in the same way. Okay, so now we have one more example that I'm going to give to you. We have 0 85 hundredths times 1,000. Okay, so I'll give you a second to think about how this is going to work. So remember, we're multiplying. The number is getting bigger, so it has to move to the right. There it is. And it has to move to the right 1, 2, 3 places. So again, I'm going to write it down here. So it's nice and clear for me, so I have room to do the decimal moving. And I'm going to jump 3 places. 1, 2, 3. My decimal's here now. I'm going to write the number again. Don't forget the first numbers. They all have to be in there. This space, of course, is a 0. And there's my decimal. Okay, now something's not looking right about this number. What do you think we need to do? If you said remove that 0, you're right, because we never see numbers with a 0 in front of it unless it has a decimal. But in this case, it doesn't anymore. So we're going to remove that. And again, we have a whole number left over. So just like we did in our other example, you have a choice. You can put a 0 at the end, or you can just leave it as a whole number like that. So our answer to 85 hundredths times 1,000 is 850. And that is multiplying using the trick with 10, 100, and 1,000.